In the era when Solomon exalted the heavenly law, he was blessed by God with wisdom to govern Israel justly and mercifully. Initially, Solomon humbly embraced his divine wisdom, and his influence expanded greatly as prosperity surrounded him. Scripture tells us, "And Solomon reigned over all the kingdoms from the Euphrates to the land of the Philistines, as far as the border of Egypt." These kingdoms offered tribute and served Solomon all the days of his life. For Solomon had dominion over everything west of the Euphrates, over all the kingdoms from Tiphsah to Gaza, and he had peace on all sides. Throughout the days of Solomon, Judah and Israel dwelt securely from Dan to Beersheba, each man under his own vine and his own fig tree. 1 Kings 4:21, 24, 25. However, despite the promising start, Solomon's life took a dark turn into apostasy. Centuries before Solomon's reign, God foresaw the challenges that rulers might face in Israel. Moses received instructions for the guidance of future kings, emphasizing the importance of a monarch writing a copy of God's statutes and reading them daily to ensure adherence to divine principles. And when he sits on the throne of his kingdom, he shall write for himself in a book a copy of this law, approved by the Levitical priests. And it shall be with him, and he shall read in it all the days of his life, that he may learn to fear the Lord his God, by keeping all the words of this law and these statutes, and doing them, that his heart may not be lifted up above his brothers, and that he may not turn aside from the commandment, either to the right hand or to the left, so that he may continue long in his kingdom, he and his children in Israel. Deuteronomy 17:18-20. Additionally, warnings against multiplying wives and accumulating wealth were issued to prevent rulers from turning away from God, and he shall not acquire many wives for himself, lest his heart turn away, nor shall he acquire for himself excessive silver and gold. Deuteronomy 17:17. Solomon was well acquainted with these warnings, and initially he followed them diligently. His fervent desire was to rule in accordance with the statutes given at Sinai, and his governance differed significantly from the practices of neighboring nations that disregarded God's laws. 1 Kings 4:21. However, as Solomon sought to strengthen political ties with neighboring kingdoms, he made a fateful decision to form an alliance with Egypt. Despite the apparent benefits, such as the conversion of his heathen wife and military support from Pharaoh, this alliance marked a departure from God's prescribed path for maintaining the purity of Israel. Solomon made a marriage alliance with Pharaoh, king of Egypt. He took Pharaoh's daughter and brought her into the city of David until he had finished building his own house and the house of the Lord and the wall around Jerusalem. 1 Kings 3:1. And Pharaoh, king of Egypt, had gone up and captured Gezer and burned it with fire, and had killed the Canaanites who lived in the city, and had given it as dowry to his daughter, Solomon's wife. 1 Kings 9:16. Solomon's hope that his foreign alliances would lead others to worship the true God proved futile. His gradual apostasy became evident as he succumbed to the influences of his heathen associates. Instead of relying on divine guidance, Solomon pursued political and commercial alliances with surrounding nations, often sealed by marriages with heathen princesses. These alliances compromised Israel's commitment to God's commands. 1 Kings 11:1-4. The king's pursuit of worldly grandeur and power led him to accumulate vast wealth, including gold from Ophir and silver from Tarshish. 2 Chronicles 1:15. However, this prosperity came at the expense of moral integrity and obedience to God. Solomon's gradual apostasy culminated in his deviation from God's law with the once wise and compassionate ruler descending into tyranny and oppression. Despite God's earlier warnings, Solomon multiplied horses, assembled chariots, and disregarded the divine commandments. Deuteronomy 17:16, 1 Kings 10:26. His fascination with luxury, self-indulgence, and worldly acclaim led to a decline in moral character and a departure from the righteous path. Solomon's reign, marked by justice and magnanimity in its early stages, transformed into a despotism that alienated the people through heavy taxation and oppression. The consequences of Solomon's choices were severe, affecting not only his personal life, but also the spiritual well-being of Israel. The lesson from Solomon's life serves as a timeless warning for Christians today. The pursuit of prosperity and worldly acclaim without a steadfast commitment to God's commandments can lead to spiritual decline and separation from Him. The allure of the world, symbolized by Solomon's foreign alliances and marriages, poses a constant threat to the purity of faith. The parallel between Solomon's apostasy and the challenges faced by contemporary believers is striking. The call to come out from among them, 2 Corinthians 6:17, echoes God's plea to maintain separation from worldly influences. Christians are reminded to keep themselves distinct and separate from the spirit and influences of the world, as God demands undivided allegiance. Solomon's story underscores the danger of prosperity when not coupled with humility and submission to God. Riches and honor, while not inherently wrong, become perilous when they lead to pride, self-indulgence, and a reliance on one's own strength. The precarious balance between success and spiritual well-being is emphasized, as the cup full to the brim requires careful handling. The valley of humility, where individuals depend on God's guidance, is contrasted with the perilous position of those standing on lofty pinnacles of success. The lesson is clear. Unless individuals make God their dependence and submit to His will, the dangers of presumption and spiritual downfall loom large. The narrative concludes with a call to Christians to prioritize allegiance to God over worldly pursuits. The fulfillment of God's promise, the blessing of the Lord, it maketh rich, and He addeth no sorrow with it, Proverbs 10:22, is contrasted with the emptiness of self-glorification. The transformative power of Christ's grace is highlighted, breaking the enchantment of the world and inspiring individuals to follow Him. In summary, Solomon's life journey, from the heights of wisdom and divine favor to the depths of apostasy and spiritual decline, serves as a cautionary tale for believers.
If you found this video enjoyable, please consider liking and sharing it. Additionally, subscribing to this channel will ensure that you receive more updates in the future. Thank you.